Hello, everyone. I all hope you had a very, very wonderful weekend and a very blessed weekend and a very great weekend and afternoon. Sorry, guys, for not exactly shooting on time. My brother was busy exactly studying and also working with his schoolwork, so I had to exactly change the time for us to exactly shoot. But nevertheless, I'll exactly continue. One more thing, guys, I'm very grateful for your support in viewing and in watching my episodes. It gratefully means a lot to me, completely means a lot to me. So, God bless you all, guys. On today's episode, we are to talk about a superhero girl who's a member of the Universal Heroes known as Werewolf Girl, who joined the Universal Heroes in the early years. So, let's get on to it. In Werewolf Girl's early life, she comes from a long line. She comes from a long line of very powerful race of supernaturals known as werewolves, who live on a planet, called Planet Where, where a planet that is quietly filled with shape-shifting werewolves, where they can exactly live in harmony, where they exactly live in harmony all together, and that quietly lives within the sacred universe and the sacred world itself. Werewolf Girl was quietly born and raised by her people to becoming the symbol of peace and harmony among the other supernatural races such as the vampires, warlocks, witches, fairy witches, dark witches, and dark superhumans and aliens as well in the process. During at that time, Werewolf Girl was quietly born as she discovered that her entire race were quietly at war with the vampires, who exactly were led by another powerful, supernatural, formidable villain known as the Vampire King, with the goal of making his race the sole dominant rulers of the sacred world and of the cosmos as well in the process. Despite during at that time, Werewolf Girl grew up in a harsh environment and in a harsh reality where her species and her kind were forced to fight in order to survive. During at that time, at the age of the original Lola Magic, who wanted to exterminate the supernaturals and the aliens and the superhumans in the process, Werewolf Girl and her people exactly decided to send Werewolf Girl straightly to planet Earth, where she was able to exactly live amongst the humans in order to protect them and also to guide them into a different path, where that is quite different from destruction and death and also disharmony in a process as well, where she was quietly sent as well. So she was quietly sentenced to Earth many years ago, and she arrived on planet Earth, lived amongst the humans during that time, able to learn exactly how the humans can exactly work together and also exactly live together in harmony. During at that time, she discovered that the humans were also protected by other beings and other creatures from other worlds and from other planets known as United Men, known as United Men, and also as Universal Man and Universal Woman, who are the two most powerful beings throughout the universe, who became the most powerful beings throughout the universe. During at that time, Earth Girl was quietly assigned to a school where she learns the human ways and where she learns the human ways and everything else. After that, she discovered that Universal Man and Universal Woman were quietly killed, and they were quietly killed by an unknown force of evil, which quietly killed them. And during that time, she quietly learned that the United Heroes were quietly formed in order to take over the place of Universal Man and Universal Woman, which they quietly exactly did so by protecting humanity and also by serving mankind in maintaining sacred peace to humans and aliens and supernaturals, also in secrecy and also within the public eye. During that time, Werewolf Girl decided in order to become a superhero herself, where she could quietly named herself Werewolf Girl, where she can exactly protect the supernaturals and her kind and also humanity by inspiring her people to change their ways in order to make their ways a different ways of peace and also in harmony. She exactly became a superhero, naming herself as Werewolf Girl, where she protected the people from a crime group, where she protected the people from a crime group of criminals who were exactly robbing a bank. She used her newfound abilities and skills in order to protect the innocent lives of people. During at that time, she was quietly recognized by the members of the United Heroes, who quietly came to her and decided that Werewolf Girl could exactly become a high-ranking member of the new Universal Heroes, where they can exactly able to protecting humanity and also saving the sacred world in its secrecy. And Werewolf Girl quietly agreed to join the Universal Heroes to becoming its next member and team in order to saving humanity as well in the process. On the 1st of January, the Universal Heroes had their first assignment in order to cracking a sacred case where criminals were super criminals and supernaturals were all working together in collecting a 5 chemical doses of shadow energy that were quietly unlikely a shipment of shadow energy that was quietly unlike any other which the Shadow Empire has been receiving. Werewolf Girl was quietly present with the other members of the Universal Heroes, which they exactly arrived on the island and managed to disrupt the delivery system and managed to exactly take all the shadow energy product and destroyed it and managed to capture several enemies and several key villains at the time, and they were quietly sentenced straightly into the astral prison at that time as well. The Universal Heroes and Werewolf Girl were very victorious on their mission as they were able to disrupt the enemy's delivery system and also disrupting the enemy's delivery system and also the Shadow Empire's delivery system by neutralizing the enemy's delivery system and capturing many enemies at the time. Werewolf Girl quietly felt very pleased and very happy that her first assignment and mission was very well successful, and she's ready for the next assignment as well. On the 4th of January, Werewolf Girl and the other members of the Universal Heroes were assigned on a covert mission. In order to make sure that the magical objects were heavily protected and heavily guarded from unknown sinister threats or forces of evil, which they were quietly assigned by Magic Man, who's a member of the United Heroes, and quietly exactly assigned them on the mission, which they successfully able to do so. During at that time of that mission, they encountered a powerful, deadly, mysterious evil force of nature that is quite a powerful dark entity known as Dark Witch Boy, who exactly showed them his power and his abilities. The Universal Heroes were quietly triumphant against Dark Witch Boy's powers as he became more powerful and he began overwhelming them. But despite their teamwork, they were able to take him down, and Dark Witch Boy decided to teleport himself away, realizing that the objects were heavily secured and heavily guarded by the most powerful team known as the Universal Heroes. On the 10th on the 10th of January, the Universal Heroes were able to disrupt the Shadow Empire, another worldly transportation delivery that was quietly sent into planet Earth with destructive technology and powerful technology, which they were able to disrupt. During that time, they encountered another mysterious foe, very powerful foe known as the Dark Druids, where Werewolf Girl and the rest of the Universal Heroes were forced to fight against their greatest enemy by taking down against their greatest foe, one of the most powerful, formidable dark magic users ever. They took down the Dark Druid, able to disrupt the delivery system. They were able to exactly acquire the destructive technology and most powerful technology ever seen, and they were forced to exactly take it back straightly to United Heroes in order for them to exactly have a look at it. They weren't able to capture any several key enemies or any villains at this time because they were all unlikely able to escape during at that time. On the 12th of January, the Universal Heroes learned of a powerful ancient evil force known as the Lord of Magic, who was exactly the founder and the leader of the Shadow Empire, who exactly began a powerful goal and a very powerful destructive mission to wipe out the supernaturals and the new prophesied child known as the new universal man, and also the Four Nation Hunters, and also the Four Nation Hunters, and also the aliens and the superhumans in the process. During at that time, the Universal Heroes focused their true primary objective and their goals in order to fighting up against their greatest enemy in crippling the Shadow Empire's quest from conquering numerous worlds and planets in the process, which they were successfully able to do so. During at that time, they fought against the Shadow Empire warlords and commanders and leaders and their forces. They managed to liberate many thousands of worlds and planets in one fell swoop. The United Heroes exactly helped them take down the enemy, taking down the enemy's control over some worlds and over some planets, which they were able to cripple them all. The original Lord of Magic realizes that the Universal Heroes are becoming a powerful group of superheroes who are determined enough to cripple his operation and his goal, meaning that he needs to exactly effectively remove them and wipe them away. During at that time, on the 16th of January, Universal Man and the members of the Universal Heroes exactly met up with the Four Nation Hunter Council, decided to form the Intergalactic Coalition in order to take down the Shadow Empire and the original normal magic. The Four Nation Hunter agreed, and so did the new members of the Alliance. Exactly agreed to form an impenetrable, powerful alliance with the Universal Heroes and with the United Heroes for them to work in secrecy and for them to work in public in order to protecting humanity from forces of evil such as the monsters, the Shadow Empire, the regional normal magic, and all the sinister threats and evil forces that can exactly pose a threat to humanity and to the sacred universe and to the sacred world and to the known universe in the process. And Werewolf Girl was very quietly pleased and very quietly proud that her mission and her destiny has become a complete success in saving humanity and in protecting mankind. The operation exactly began as the war continued to wage on against the Shadow Empire and the original world of magic. The Universal Heroes stormed the central headquarters of the Shadow Empire, where the original world of magic was at his powers was at his powerful capacity, where he uses dark magic to effectively destroy and wipe out the Universal Heroes. But the Universal Man triumphed with the Universal Heroes who were able to successfully helping him fight against the original Little Magic. In doing so, Wolfco was quietly present at the time when the original Little Magic was quietly facing his demise by the Universal Heroes who were able to successfully kill him in a matter of moments, which created a power vacuum within the Shadow Empire. Universal Heroes exactly killed and prevented the original Little Magic from exterminating the supernaturals and the aliens and the superhumans in the process from being wiped out of existence, meaning permanently from being wiped out of existence, which they were able to successfully do so. Werewolf Girl was quietly present at that time on the 20th on the 20th of January, where Werewolf Girl was quietly present at the time on the 20th of January, and the Universal Heroes realized that they've created a huge power vacuum unlike any ever before, and the Shadow Empire warlords commanders will be fighting for sole control over the Shadow Empire. During at that time, Werewolf Girl decided to head back to her home planet and to her home people in order to inform them of the news that the chaos is just beginning and it's not exactly far from over. The forces of evil began converging on the 1st of February as all the Shadow Empire warlords and commanders formed powerful secretive alliances with ancient groups of supervillains known as the Founders, the Order of the Seven, the Order of the 12, the Order of the Six, the Order of the Five, the Order of the Six, the Order of the Five, the Unholy Alliance, the Sacred Circle, the Sacred Circle as well, in supplying them with destructive technology and powerful technology. The Shadow Empire warlords commanders launched full-scale invasion on other worlds and other planets in order to conquer them and place them under their sole control. Werewolf Girl and her people were forced to fight back against the Shadow Empire warlords and commanders at that time, which they were able to partner up with the Intergalactic Coalition, helping the Intergalactic Coalition fight off the Shadow Empire warlords and commanders. In doing so, they triumphed against the battle, able to take several measures of Shadow Empire warlords and commanders into custody and sending them straightly into the Astral Prison, a prison designed to house super criminals and super villains and dark druids and dark and powerful magic users at that time as well. On the 2nd of February, Werewolf Girl attended a video conference meeting with the members of the Universal Heroes and with the United Heroes and with the members of the Intergalactic Coalition and with the members of the Four Nation Hunters, stated that the operation has quietly taken huge toll with the Intergalactic Coalition's forces being compromised from all sides and being stretched too thin in order to fight against the Shadow Empire in order to keeping the war quietly at secretive and also quietly at bay. Werewolf Girl decided that she'll help her people, and help the Alliance and help the Universal Heroes in whatever way she can in order to cripple and neutralize the enemy's forces and the resources as much as possible they can, while the Universal Heroes fight the ongoing war with the force of evil in order to protecting humanity and the sacred world and the sacred universe in the process, which they all exactly came into an agreement as well and began to successfully able to agree with that as well. With the Intergalactic Coalition resources stretched too thin in order to cripple the Shadow Empire's forces and control of other worlds. Werewolf Girl and her people decided in order to help out the Intergalactic Coalition in crippling the Shadow Empire's resources and also its forces. On the 6th of February, Werewolf Girl and her kind were able to fight against the Shadow Empire warlords commanders who staged a huge invasion on the other worlds and other civilizations, were so successfully able to do so in protecting those worlds and other planets, that were able to capture several enemies, able to capture several key enemies, and able to capture several Shadow Empire warlords or commanders, able to mysteriously sending them straightly into the astral prison to remain in custody for their crimes against the known universe and against the sacred world in the process as well. Werewolf Girl was very, very quietly happy and very quietly pleased and very quietly determined that the worlds were willing to do whatever they can in order to restore peace and harmony throughout the sacred world and throughout the sacred universe in the process as well. During at that time, she met up with Dragon Girl, who's a member of the Universal Heroes, telling Dragon Girl that both of her species, but that both of their kind should exactly combine their forces and also their resources in order to working together to cripple the enemy's power and control over other worlds and other civilizations, which could exactly benefit them in many numerous ways. Dragon Girl quietly agreed, and she told Werewolf that she has more pressing matters to exactly worry about since the war is quietly far from over and it's just about to get interesting. The sacred peace between supernaturals is about to get a hell lot messy, and the rift is about to be created one way or another, with the power vacuum of the Shadow Empire now falling out of control and with sinister threats and forces already converging in order to exactly take control of the Shadow Empire. The war is just about to get a whole lot worse than it's ever exactly did. And Wolf Gold quietly agreed as well with Dragon Gold that they should exactly work together as teammates and members of the Universal Heroes in order to save the known universe and the known worlds and the sacred world and humanity in the process, which they both successfully agreed that they'll share their resources in order to work together. On the 10th of February, Wolf Girl and her people exactly were on a reconnaissance mission in order to make sure that in order to gather intelligence on the enemy, discovering that the Shadow Empire warlords and commanders were all exactly about to convene and meet to discuss their plans in order to taking over the known universe, and the rest of the sacred existence in the process. During at the time, Wolf Girl and her people arrived just in the nick of time in order to prevent this coup from being planned and from being plotted few minutes away, which they were able to interrupt the Shadow Empire warlords commanders and their plans and able to take them ultimately into custody and sending them straightly sending them straightly into the astral prison to remain there in custody by preventing a coup from taking place. During at that time, all the Shadow Empire warlords and commanders convene at another ancient ceremony of another conquered world, where they all decided who will exactly lead the Shadow Empire, when they all exactly decided to fight for the throne and fighting amongst each other and against themselves. Werewolf Girls and the members and Werewolf Girl and her kind and her people and the members of the Intergalactic Coalition arrived just in the nick of time to prevent an all-out war that the Shadow Empire warlords commanders were fighting up against. Some of the other Shadow Empire warlords commanders escaped. The others exactly were sentenced ultimately into the astral prison to remain in custody. But before they were ultimately sent into the astral prison, one of the Shadow Empire warlords or commanders told Werewolf Girl that there's a new little magic and his new secret society is in power and in control over the new Shadow Empire, and that the Shadow Empire now is under the current leadership of a new powerful villain known as Red Bolt, who is a founder and leader of the Dark Order, another ancient and powerful secret society of supervillains that is determined to controlling and manipulating wars and ruling the sacred world and the sacred universe by any and all means necessary. Wolfgirl was quietly shocked and very quietly and displeased with this cinema news, discovering that the Shadow Empire has really been placed under current new leadership already, and that there's a new little magic that is quietly ruling from within the shadows, meaning that this is not exactly successfully good news at all. Completely not successfully exactly good news at all. On the 15th of February, Wolfgirl was able to meet up with the members of the Universal Heroes in a hologram meeting, telling them that there's a new little magic within the shadows and that he's ready forming his new powerful secret society of supervillains that is quietly still unknown, and that he's ready forming his new Shadow Empire, that the Shadow Empire is under the current leadership of another powerful ancient villain known as Red Bolt, who's willing to exactly wage war with the Star Empire for sole control over the sacred universe. Universal Man told the members of the Universal Heroes that they'll do everything else in their power to cripple and neutralize the Shadow Empire before we can exactly wage war with the Star Empire for sole control of the sacred universe and over the known universe. In the meantime, they should cripple the enemy's operation and also their planning in the meantime in order to make sure that the enemy's operation have taken a backseat and that they've been sadistically that they've been exactly been furtherly suffered a major setback on the operation and as well on their plans by any means necessary, which World Grown was supposedly able to agree on that, which successfully able to agree on the first of March, World Grown and the rest of her people planning in order to exactly fight amongst themselves in order to taking the Sharon Empire throne, but World Grown exactly stopped her people from exactly fighting against themselves in order to taking the Sharon Empire throne in order for them to lead it. And despite that, she exactly heard troubling news that one of the wolves are exactly helping the vampires into planning to take control over the sacred world so that they could become the most powerful species and the dominant species in the known universe, which that could exactly stir up conflict among the superhumans and the aliens and the supernaturals as well in the process. And World Growth was very successfully unpleased with this. During at that time, the Dark Druids and the Dark Witches and the Dark Faithful launch a full-scale invasion on another intergalactic coalition's outpost, besieging the whole base with their dark magic and powers. Wolfclaw and the rest of her team and the rest of her covert team were forced to intervene. The battle exactly waged on and battle for days and weeks until the 10th of March. The battle was quietly over and the Dark Druids were all heavily decimated and destroyed at that time. Worfgold discovered that the Intergalactic Coalition has become compromised and is being influenced by the new level magic's influence and power and control, meaning that the new level magic is quietly rising in power and is rising in power greatly than ever. Gold decided to take matters into her own hands in order to take out the enemy once and for all. She decided to partner up with the Universal Monster Heroes in helping them